Ikibazo cyanjye kiragaruka muri Kongo ko ni twese turahangayitse nk'abanyarwanda. Umugaba mukuru wungirije w'ingabo za Kongo General Chiwewe Aprito Chiko yitangarije yuko amaze iminsi azenguruka mu bihugu bya SADC kugira ngo intambara y'u Rwanda bayitsinde. Kandi wumvise n'amagambo amaze iminsi avuga y'abari Perezida nubwo babifashe nk'aho ari imikino, yivugiye ku giti cye yuko ari wowe kibazo cy'umutekano muri Afurika. Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. Nitwa Kensi, abandi umunyamakuru wa TV na Radio 1. Ikibazo cyanjye kiragaruka muri Kongo ko ni twese turahangayitse nk'abanyarwanda. Umugaba mukuru wungirije w'ingabo za Kongo General Chiwewe Aprito Chiko yitangarije yuko amaze iminsi azenguruka mu bihugu bya SADC kugira ngo intambara y'u Rwanda bayitsinde. Kandi wumvise n'amagambo amaze iminsi avuga y'abari Perezida nubwo babifashe nk'aho ari imikino, yivugiye ku giti cye yuko ari wowe kibazo cy'umutekano muri Afurika. Wareba ibyo abandi bose babajije nkabona yuko tuyifata nk'aho ari ugukina, ariko wenda bikaba ari na seriye. Ese twaba twitegura yuko tujya guterwa na Kongo kuko banavuze ko bashaka kutwanexa tukaba intara ya 8. Murakoze mwadusuza kuri ibyo mukaduhumuriza cyangwa se mukaduteguza tukitegura.
Reka mpere kubahumuriza nicyo kiri important, nicyo cyangombwa, nicyo gikuru. Ibyo bwabyo ntaho mbona bishingiye, ntaho mbona byashoboka. So nushaka uryame usinzire wicuye wiyongere, ibyo ntabwo ari ikibazo. Ibyo umuntu umwe yaba yaravuze muri Kongo, ibyo afite uburenganzira bwo kuvuga ibyo ashaka kuvuga. Ntabwo bivugwa byose biba ari ukuri, cyane cyane iyo bivugwa kuri iki kibazo cya Kongo, bikivugwa n'abanyekongo bo muri leta. Ariko icyo nzi ni uko SADC ishobora gushaka gufasha ahubwo nayo mu gukemura ikibazo cya Kongo. Ntabwo nibwira rero ko gushaka gukemura ikibazo cya Kongo, nubwo abenshi bashobora bashaka kugikemura bakagikemura nabi, cyangwa bakaba bagira ibyo bakora bizana intambwe guterwa mu gukemura ikibazo. Ntabwo nibwira ko bizagana mu kugirira nabi u Rwanda bafashije Kongo. Ntabwo mbibona, mu kubona kwanjye ntabwo mbibona. Ariko icyo nakubwira ni uko nka bya bindi, iyo udashaka intambara urayitegura. Iyo ushaka amahoro witegura intambara. Rero ubwo twe dushaka amahoro, ibyo kwitegura twiteguye kera. Sorry? Niruterwa. Ibyo ntibabimbareho. Ibyo uvuze ntibabimbareho.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. Nitwa Scovia Mutesi, ni umwanditsi w'ikinyamakuru Mama urwa Gasabo. Mfite ibibazo bibiri. Abarimu uyu munsi barashima ko bongerewe umushahara nyuma y'igihe kinini, ariko muri iki cyiciro n'abandi bakozi batandukanye ba leta, harimo abakora mu bijyanye n'ubutabera, abacamanza, abanditsi n'ubushinjacyaha. Uyu munsi nabo bavuga ko bagowe no kuba umushahara ukiri muto, abaganga nabo bahembwa make ariko hakaba harimo n'abadahemberwa diporome bafite. Nyakubahwa rero baravuga ko ari we bahanze amaso nk'uko n'abarimu uyu munsi bishimira ko bongejwe umushahara. Murakoze.
Yeah. Ubundi ntabwo ari ukuri kose kuko abo bandi nabo hari igihe actually twigeze kureba icyo twakora kugira ngo hagire ikiyongera ku buzima bwabo cyangwa icyo bahembwa. Harimo for example nk'abaganga, niyo umuntu ataguhaye amafaranga yongera ku mushahara akaguha uburyo bushobora gutuma wongera icyo ushobora gutahana nyuma y'ukwezi, ni nko kuyaguha. So byarabaye mu baganga, byarabaye n'ahandi aho twagiye dushakisha uburyo icyo batahana cyangwa icyo babona cyazamuka kurusha icyo bari bafite. Ibyo rero birahari nk'ihame kuri leta gushakisha. Nanone ibintu ntabwo byahinduka umunsi umwe, ntibihindukira hamwe byose kubera amikoro. Nanjye bavuga ni icyifuzo, ariko iyo bigeze ku kuri, ku nyakuri, usanga bitabaye nk'uko umuntu yabyifuzaga kubera aho tuvana ntabwo haduha icyo ari cyo cyose twifuza cyangwa twasezeranije. Icyo navuga rero, ibyo uvuze nibyo, ku barimu baragerageje, hari amaze gukorwa, ntibizagukanye. Buriya hashobora gushira amezi 6 nabo bagatangira kuvuga batari ko dukeneye ibi, ntabwo bijya birangira. Ariko icyo navuga, nibura hari icyo twakoze gifite intambwe cyabateje. Mbere y'uko twongera gusubira ku barimu, ndibwira ko tuzaba twakoze ibishoboka kugira ngo n'abandi noneho no sekiteri zindi bashobore kugira icyo babona, nk'abaganga, nk'abacamanza, abakora mu sekita ya justice. Birashoboka. Ntabwo ariko nasezeranya ngo uyu munsi uzaba byarangiye kuko naba mbeshya. Tureba envelope uko ingana, uko imeze, aho dukwiriye kuba dushyira, ariko turabitekereza. Icyo navuga ni uko ntabwo tubitekereza kuri bamwe gusa cyangwa tubyifuriza bamwe tutabigeza ku bandi. Nabyo rero ndibwira ko bizabageraho byanze bikunze. Tuzakora ibishoboka byose. Leta muri rusange, iyo mikorere niko imeze. Ubwo tuzakomeza dushakisha aho twavana, ahashoboka, hamwe twaba tuhagaritse wenda hafite uko hameze neza, duteze imbere ahandi.
Thank you, sir. We take the last question from Zambia.
I thought this was the last.
Sorry, it was last one.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. My name is Damasio Piri from Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation in Zambia. First and foremost, I would like to thank you, Your Excellency, that I found myself here in Rwanda. It's been my dream to come and see Rwanda.
Was your first time?
Yes, my first time, and thank you so much. My question is on the bilateral talks and agreements that you've had with your counterpart from Zambia, His Excellency, the President of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Last year in April 2022, you signed some agreements. The question is, how far have you gone in terms of implementation of those agreements that you signed between Zambia and Rwanda? Thank you.
To begin with, we have a very good relationship with Zambia. Rwanda and Zambia relate very well, both in history, but more so now under the current government and the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. It was my pleasure to visit last time I did, and indeed a number of issues were discussed, including how we strengthen and move further our relationship in a mutually beneficial way, bringing people together and increasing economic and other useful activities between the two countries. So those agreements have been followed upon. They're in the process. People, institutions on both sides have been talking and identifying the best way to move forward and on what in terms of priorities. So what we can do is to try and accelerate that. Otherwise, I think it's on the right path. And greetings to people back home in Zambia.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time and taking over 20 questions. I wish you a good evening.
We did take 20?
We took more than 20 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellency, my name is Wahiga Mwaura from Citizen TV in Nairobi, Kenya. 2 quick questions for you. The first one is on the challenges in the DRC. What is your advice today or your message to those overseeing the Nairobi-led peace process, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and of course the host President William Ruto? What's your message to them in terms of what needs to be done to make sure that peace process actually works? That's my first question. My second question to you is, with a presidential election looming, and you've had questions on the same in regards to that. Now, Rwanda has done very well in ticking the right development metrics, healthcare, access to finances for the people, technology, and so much more. And the ratings are not just by local institutions, but international institutions as well. But there's one metric that Rwanda continuously scores low in, and that is on human rights, political freedom, and press freedom as well. Your Excellency, with that election in mind, does it concern you that until today your country still suffers a contradiction of very good rankings by international agencies on one end, but very poor rankings on the human rights front on the other? Does it concern you? And if it does, what are you doing about it? Thank you.
Yeah. Starting with that last one, is there really a situation where you have one and not the other? And what would be the meaning? Because on one hand, on all human indexes, you are scoring fine. What does that mean? Human, it's already human. You are giving people more health, you are giving people more food, they are not starving, you are giving them security, you are giving... And it's not, by the way, this is it, it's not dishing it out to them. They are part of it. These things happen because they are involved, they are part of it. There is security because they are part of it. There is this production and this because they are part of it. It can't be by a leader or leaders and then minus the people. Then you don't get there. Everything you mention is about accountability, fight corruption. Well, sometimes people associate corruption with freedom. You're even free to be corrupt. You are free to steal. You are free to... Now here we are saying, no. You're not free. You are accountable, especially when it comes to leaders. When you are holding resources in your hands for the people, and the only reason you have resources in your hands, this is not your money. It is the money from the people and for the people. So if you steal it and do nothing for them, the courts will take care of you. We insist on that. And of course, because of that, by the way, we have produced so many people who are sort of disgruntled, and a number of them, some have been even escaping the country and going abroad. And somebody has a file here in court for stealing everything that was meant for the people he was leading. And then they go to London, meets the media, and it is everywhere in the Guardian and everything. Oh, this person is being persecuted by Kagame regime. This is the common thing. But this man is just a thief, absolute thief. So, in other words, some of these things, the way they have happened, and that is the narrative you are referring to. There is a narrative of progress on one hand, which I said, it can't happen simply. You will tell me where you know it has happened. But things are moving so well for people and by these people, but then there is everything lacking in the system about their freedom, about their human rights. I just don't understand. The good thing about all this nonsense being said, unfortunately, it's not like mathematics. You add up things, you multiply, you do this, and there is unexpected, what you get out if you get it right. It's what it is. But here, you add up things, and then you end up with some result that is dependent, that is subjective, that is dependent on the judgment of a journalist or a human rights person or somebody, even when the things don't add up. So, in fact, we have had, by the way, a lot of discussions with these institutions, with the countries where these people are based. And we have a list of people. And what makes it simple and clear, it's, for example, what I've just said, people who have gone after committing crimes here, including those who killed people here, by the way. They go there, they play a political card, a freedoms, a democracy card. And they say, no, you see, I am here, I'm seeking asylum. And they say, because they are being persecuted. You are a murderer who killed people here, and then you are being persecuted? How? And we show it to these people who make such a noise. We say, okay, you relate to these things. This person, this is the file that was worked on, completed. It is waiting for prosecution. And the person is here, he told you lies that he escaped, from the police. They were looking for him. They were going to kill him because he said something. Or because he's fighting for democracy. So how do you marry these two things? How do you explain it? We have a case. In fact, it's one case, but it involves people. There are people who left here like 20 years. This case that has been going on in the UK of genociders who know. Sorry? Yes, who are known, well known. The victims are here. The people whose families were killed by these guys are here. Everybody knows the story. But these guys have been in the UK protected, and they went into politics and started talking about how, this Tutsi government, they are calling people, telling people to shut up. They do this. This case has been going on for 15 years. And we asked the government. We said, okay, They first said, we can't send you these cases because we requested. You said, you give us these people, we go and prosecute them in the court of law. And they said, no, we can't give them to you. We are not sure about your courts, your judiciary, and so on and so forth. We said, okay, you have right to have doubts about us. Let us give you the files, and you try these guys in your courts. And they can't do that either. So you have there are many cases like this. And we tell these people, what do you want us to do? What we are saying is that these people have cases to answer. I'm now away from that case. There are others elsewhere. We say, you don't believe us. That's okay. You have a working judiciary in your country, your developed country. Let us give you what you are saying. What we are saying. You have these people in your hands. Try them against this. You find them innocent, let them go. We shall know that you have found them innocent, and that's okay. They can't do that. Why? Because some of them exactly want to keep that story running of how bad everything is here. But the simple question I asked was, surely you can't say there is a whole list of things that we are getting right and they are showing, and then you say, but. How do I explain that? Because these things don't add up. Now, are there things that go wrong here in the country? Absolutely. That one, I can't say that nothing goes wrong here. But where does it not go wrong? And, or if I were to ask the same people who make judgment, or if you were to ask me, say, these people are saying, Rwanda, you are like this, you are like this. I say, okay, guilty, as charged. Do you want me to show you what is worse these same people are accusing me are doing? That does not happen because of where I started from earlier. It's like, do as I say, don't do as I do. This saying is very old, it's not by me. So that's what is involved in what we are talking about. Every single day. You tell us, oh, you are doing this. Sometimes, by the way, you are supposed to believe what they are saying about you. You're not even supposed to question or protest. But at the same time, you are talking about freedoms. But if you don't allow me the freedom to answer back or to say you are telling lies, or actually what you are saying is not true, then who is violating freedoms more than the other? You are exactly doing what you are denying me to do. You don't want me to explain my case? And then you turn it around actually and say, you see, Rwanda does not want or does not like criticism. But you don't like criticism because when I'm explaining to you, then you are labeling me as not liking criticism. But you are exactly depicting me in that light because you think I shouldn't be answering back or asking or raising questions about what you are saying about me. That is denying people freedom. This freedom, democracy, people have turned it into something, a subjective tool, just to use. If you have a voice, you have a media, you have power, you have money, then you are controlling this. Everybody else is supposed to accept what you are saying there and what you are saying they are doing, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is true or not. This is the problem. I'm glad you actually raised this question because it's been there for many years. It is still there as we speak. Because if you hear some people, it's not all of them. I think many understand. What they say about Rwanda, they think this is the worst country you have on earth. But then sometimes, when in another circumstance, they are telling a good story about Rwanda. I say, oh, Rwanda thinks, oh, is this. So how do these two contradict? In fact, the contradiction is more in that than what you stated earlier. The contradiction is, how do you say this on this side, so much is wrong and bad, but on the other, there is so much that is good that is happening. So, but these things that are good are happening by who? It is the same people you are saying. I mean, somebody is not hungry, a family is not hungry. They are able to send children to school to study. Then they have security, nobody tampers with them. But you say, except they lack the freedom. Which freedom? Freedom. Somebody is already having freedom to live, to be there. You saw the Rwandans live now on average up to 60 something close to it. Why would the country invest in that only to deny the same person? Does it really make sense? Does it add up? It doesn't, for me, it doesn't add up. But by the way, the same complaints that are being raised about Rwanda now were not even a fraction of it was raised against the government that murdered 1 million people here. Meaning, they had the freedom. They had everything, maybe. But really, the Rwanda of 30 years ago, did it have freedom? Did it have democracy? Did it? Now, sometimes I say, for lack of a better way to say it, there are two things. One I am blamed for, another I am praised for. Okay? These are two things. Surely this can't be worse than a situation that doesn't have either. You know that? You understand what I'm saying? There are people who may, as I know, in fact, there are many people who have no freedoms and the democracies we're talking about, and have nothing of that I'm being praised for. So who is worse off? At least I have one. Then I can keep struggling to deal with the other one and improving on it, and fine. But at least I have secured one. But really, you have a situation where, which we know, you and me and anybody else, nothing we are talking about exists in this place. But surprisingly, because of maybe how they are used to serve certain interests of those who set the standards, they may end up actually being praised. I wouldn't name names here, but I have names in my mind I could say. I could give example, but I won't say it, I won't do it. People, even other people look and say, what do you think you are doing? You have so much, but in the end, it has not transformed the people either way, either by development or by these subjective things we are talking about. But yet, the resources are incredible. But those ones, nobody will talk about them, because the same people who set these standards and define us are in between getting, helping themselves with these resources. This is how the world seems to operate as I understand it. You had asked another.
The message to the conveners of the Nairobi peace process?
Oh, sure. That's the one I was missing. We have had many conversations, including the conveners of the peace process, whether it is in Kenya or even in other places. People cannot afford just to do politics with anything, or even do diplomacy. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings by telling them something they ought to do, but that they don't want to do. So if you are a convener of this process, you can afford even to be disliked. You must be prepared for that, meaning you should be prepared to tell somebody what they don't want to hear, but that is right to do. And that will actually maybe lead to improvement in the situation or help solving the problem. That's one big message. And so the part of that is we have to be practical. We have to do, for example, when we are talking about considering the root causes of any problem we are dealing with, it's indispensable. You can't solve the problem otherwise. You can't avoid the root causes. Otherwise, how will you solve the problem? I think, but so far, in my view, I have no complaint as to regards the people who are trying to help in this problem, be it Kenya or the Rwanda process. I think some truth has been coming out the right way. The main problem now is how do we move to another stage so that we are not talking about the right things and move to doing practically, and that's where we were with the Nairobi process, when the East African Community Regional Force was being created. It was actually one to go in, help, have ceasefire, bringing the armed groups, the warring sides, to say, what are you fighting for? Let's listen to your grievance and address that. But when it came to that, it's the country that was being helped that has made it impossible. And the reason is simple, why how they are making it impossible. All along, for them, they have completely different interpretation of what needs to be done. For them, it was like this force, or whichever force that is supposed to be there, is supposed to help us, and then a lot of definitions about sovereignty. We are a sovereign this, we are a sovereign that. So you will come work with us to help us fight our enemies. They call their own people their enemies. So that was a terrible misconception that has created problems. So the East African Community Regional Force, according to DRC, is supposed to come help them fight M23, the other armed groups, and then what? To what end? No, the issue is actually a lot of fighting has happened. We don't need more fighting. We need less. So if you want people to help you to fight, no, we need people to help you to actually stop fighting and then move to a political solution. So I think the message has been clear. We will discuss this with those responsible. They understand it. They have tried whatever they can. But I think helping people is also sometimes is difficult. You may help somebody who doesn't need your help or who thinks you can only help them in a completely different way that doesn't provide the solution. And that's where people get stuck.
Thank you, sir. With your permission, we may take 3 more before we end. We start with Ghana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Martin Asiedu-Date from Ghana. My question would come on the back of the fact that Ghana currently is going to the IMF or is seeking IMF bailout. It looks as though post the COVID and Russian-Ukraine war, a number of countries and economies have suffered. But steadily, it looks as though Rwanda has had a steady rise and has not gone back for that kind of assistance. In your estimation, what can other African countries do in line with the continental free trade area, which is a concept many are working towards, to ensure that we have enough resources to help ourselves so we do not keep running to these Bretton Woods institutions? And secondly, as an Arsenal fan, knowing that Arsenal is doing well this season,
yes,
I'm sure,
I am.
Yeah, I know that you're looking forward that they win the league. With the partnership Rwanda has with Arsenal, how has that benefited the country? And with the Visit Rwanda campaign, what kind of impact are you looking at the country benefiting if Arsenal does win the league? Thank you.
Now, the first one, really I want to be clear. We haven't succeeded in everything we have tried to do for ourselves. We succeed in some, fail in others, and keep trying. And I don't, sometimes I don't feel comfortable to say things as if it's a prescription for what others can do to remedy their problems. I want to start by saying that. And with Ghana, that we are close to, we have good cooperation, many things that we do with Ghana. And Ghana is a great country, has huge resources, human and other resources. So I'm sure, therefore, Ghana is capable of, based on these two, is able to do many things for itself and maybe some input from outside, like we all need support from different global institutions or partnerships with the countries or so on and so forth. But all along, not taking things for granted that, yes, we can do this and that by ourselves, and just an input here and so on from others. That's exactly the point when we created the CFTA. It was to aggregate our capacities, our possibilities, our potential on the African continent, so that really proportionately people benefit. depending on what they have, on their size, on so many things. And there are things that are more or less simple and straightforward to make it to do CFTA work and help us, and that we start with simple things like connection with each other, countries that have signed up to it, communication, freedom of movement of people, goods, and trading with each other and increase it. We have repeated so many times. We see the rest of the world, the different continents, these regional trade levels are much higher. You go to Asia, you go to Europe, in Africa, and this costs us a lot. Absolutely, it directly feeds into how and what a low base we are at in many of these things. So these, operationalizing CFTA is huge, and every country has a role to play, has something to do, and fortunately the Secretariat, the headquarters are in Ghana, the capacities there. So we need to make it work for us, and we connect with each other. So I think if more of that was done, then we should be seeing our countries needing less of begging and asking people to help out, to bail us out, and so on and so forth. There's no question about it. So we need to do more of that and stop being dependent on. So I maybe just stop at that. For Arsenal, we have had a very good partnership. It gets better every time. In fact, our people responsible for these investments calculate and see. They can easily tell how many people got to know about Rwanda because of this, how many, based on that, actually came to Rwanda, how many, based on that, actually invested in Rwanda. It surpasses by far what we invested in this partnership ourselves. Invested something in the partnership and getting more by a big factor. We get more from that. Of course, again, cynically, these prejudices we are talking about earlier, some people are saying, no. Even some people who you would think really, and most of these people who behave like this, it's not because they don't know or they lack anything or they don't have the intellectual ability to, no. It's these biases, these prejudices that operation. So they say, no, Rwanda is wasting money. Who told you? I'm the one who knows what we put in, I know what we are getting out, but you want to tell a story for me. and you want people to believe you more than they can believe me. So, of course, the better we meaning Arsenal, the better we do, we perform towards getting the ultimate prize, it brings more dividends. Absolutely. So imagine in next, towards this season, if we become the champions, rushing to the bank to collect some money. So yeah, that's how it works. We have the same arrangement, by the way, with PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, and well, there are variations, but more or less the same principle. And we are having another one coming up with another famous football team. So when you see us going one after another, after one and another, you know, we know what we are pursuing. It's not to lose money. Asante-san. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take a question from Scovia.
murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika nitwa
Will you join me as a fan of Arsenal?
Unfortunately, no.
Ah, bad news. You are what?
Manchester United.
Ah, okay, like one of my sons is, yeah.